And we are live!
I want to be a star.
That's right. Star search.
I'm going to be somebody.
Good morning, my friend.
How we doing, Seth?
It is well with my soul.
I know it is.
How are you?
I can count on you.
You can count on Jesus.
I can. But, I firmly believe He puts people in our lives. And I called you the other day. I was having a bad day. And I called you. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I used the pretext. I just called to say, hey, how you doing? Lady?
Yeah.
We're praying for you.
Yep.
Well, I really just need someone to talk to.
What a beautiful two-way street, though, because that is exactly what I needed as well.
Yeah.
So there's no coincidences in any of that. The smallest little things. I went and looked at a house this week to potentially buy. I'm absolutely not interested. Beautiful home, but did go take a look at it. Something that seems so normal and mundane is actually looking at a house turned into an hour and a half conversation about Jesus with a realtor. Just things that we don't even expect. God's just working out perfectly and beautifully.
So do you believe in divine appointments?
Absolutely. I believe He's in control of everything, yes.
You said a word way back a couple of years ago, probably now. It was about opportunities.
Yeah.
You know the illustration.
I do.
But it's like opportunities. And ever since that, when it clicked, I've been praying for opportunities. And not only pray for opportunities, because let's be honest, we have opportunities all day long, every day.
Yep.
A realtor. You didn't go there with the idea, hey, I want to preach to this realtor.
Right.
But the opportunity presented itself.
That's right.
And I guess you call that discernment, maybe, because I need good discernment too, because I love people talking about Jesus, but let's be honest, not everybody does.
Right.
And there's a time and a place for everything. Is there ever a bad time to talk about Jesus? That's a good debate. On one side of me says, absolutely not, man.
Right.
But the other side of me is like, you can push people away. I mean,
there's never a bad time to talk about Jesus, but there are definitely people who shouldn't go into theology-driven conversations, right? About it. And yes, you genuinely have to have a feel for your audience. It's no different than the answer itself, right? Like you can give a very factual answer and come across as extremely callous if you don't have a love for the audience that you're listening to. I think, and that's all discernment, right?
Yeah. So Pastor Mike McGuire was here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And since then, I've talked to him on the phone about the statement that he made, and it was pretty powerful because he was talking about he was born an American first,
Yeah.
and then he became a Christian. He wasn't born a Christian who became an American.
Right.
And some people that are rubbed wrong, because as a pastor, you're like, wait a minute, man, patriotism doesn't come before Jesus. But there are a whole group of people out there who would tell you they're a patriot, but they're not a Christian.
Right.
So the whole point of that was he was talking to a man and invited him to the Biker Fest this weekend coming up, and next weekend I guess. But guy's like, dude, I ain't got nothing in common with you guys. He said, whoa, wait a minute, you're a patriot, right? You're an American. Yeah, man. He's all whites, patriotism. He said, we have that in common, man. He said, we'll talk about Jesus when you want to, but we have a lot in common. It don't have to always be that way. So, but it's funny because when you want to talk to somebody about Jesus and they don't, it kind of sets you back. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, so.
But aren't those important moments?
They are.
They're important for our growth and our consistent recognition that it does have nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
It's got everything to do with it. Even when the conversation's appropriate, it has to do with Him, not
that was your answer when I said that. Your answer was, well, I don't think it's a bad time, but we got to use we've got to wait for the right opportunity, perhaps, is how you can look at it. But yeah, you can't just go into some lost soul, man, and just slam him upside the head with Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like turning a flashlight on in the dark right in someone's eyes. It's like, it turns them off, it turns them away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, opportunities and knowing when and just being ready, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's never a bad time, but opportunities will present themselves if we allow God to set the table for us.
Well, yeah, and I think that's perfect timing to discuss what we were going to. So
you know you had to say that because I'll ramble on.
No, honestly, did that not transition in perfectly? Because it is about timing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's about timing and about pride, and I think we nailed both of those. So we're going to be, what we wanted to discuss today was Isaiah 53.
What? Wait a minute. Mom?
I wanted to see.
Isaiah,
Let me get a reaction out of you.
Where is Isaiah in the New Testament?
So we're reading from John 7. So we'll start at John 7, verse 1. After this, Jesus went around in Galilee, purposely staying away from Judea because the Jews there were waiting to take his life. But when the Jewish Feast of Tabernacles was near, Jesus' brothers said to him, "You ought to leave here and go to Judah, so that your disciples may see the miracles you do. No one wants to become a public figure, acts in secret. Since you are doing these things, show yourself to the world, for even his own brothers did not believe in him." Therefore Jesus told them, "The right time for me has not yet come. For you any time is right. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me because I testify that what it does is evil." So that was kind of the baseline for our discussion, because I really, throughout the week, just prayed about this and thought about this concept off and on. And I think there's something great big there about his timing, like his crucifixion needed to fulfill Daniel's prophecy to the day. It needed to coincide with the Passover correctly. It had to coincide with the Sabbath and the start of the new week. Everything had to align perfectly because his word is perfect. So one reason he's saying my timing's not now, because there's 10,000 things that all had to line up perfectly that are written throughout the Old Testament for that moment of his crucifixion. And I love that part of it. But there's also a part here that just very cleanly and neatly says that God's timing is perfect.
Yeah, and I think there's another time. It's at the wedding, I think, when Jesus performs his first miracle.
Yep.
His mom tells him, and he's like, "My time's not." No, it's not. Sorry.
It's all good.
Hello. You're gonna have to edit this. He left out me, man. You gotta edit this.
This is fantastic. We're rolling with this for him. So yeah, as you were saying, he's like, yeah, it's not my time yet, right? First miracle, it's not my time yet.
And it's funny because here they are, like trying to push him out. Come on, man!
Right.
It's time for you to go do this and do this and do that. It also reminds me of like there's a lot of illustrations of somebody drowning out in the ocean. 800 people sitting there telling the lifeguard, "Hey, the dude's out there drowning."
Right.
Not one of them's doing anything about it.
Yep.
And when you're a pastor, when you're in ministry, probably in your own family, they know who you are. They don't really want to talk about that Jesus stuff, but man, when there's a problem, hey, go talk to Seth. Seth will give us a good answer, right?
Yeah.
The same thing. Somebody needs something. We just don't want to step up and let me go get the pastor. Let him pray with you. Let him.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah. So they're always trying to shove that off. And So it reminds me of that also.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, Jesus, go do your Jesus thing. It's like,
Right.
you guys can go do it. You guys can do it anytime. It's not time for me yet, just yet.
Well, and they still got this perception that Jesus is going to roll in there, perform miracles, and be the king they have in their mind. Their vision of what a king looks like is what they see unfolding here. And he's like, no, I am. He is without a doubt the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, but he's going to lay down his life. There's nothing related to the concept they're thinking about as what's going to take place. And I love that as I talk to people about the good news of Jesus Christ. Is I get so many people who's like, I really don't believe that. I believe God is, and so the response is, so you created your own personal God that you kind of like tweak whenever you want to, but no, I believe God's like this, and he really likes this, and that's just you creating a concept of what God, and that's exactly a part of what they're doing here. Is just like, yeah, Jesus, go perform miracles in front of everybody, be our king. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to perform the miracle of all time, and it will be known, but it is nothing like you think it's going to be.
It's like if you watch TV and they advertise this great new movie that's going to come out.
Yeah.
And they show you all the best parts of the movie in those little clips. And you can't wait to get to the movie theater and watch this movie. And you watch it and you're just like, oh, well, yeah, it was okay, but they had it so built up.
Yeah.
It's a letdown.
Yep.
And I think that's exactly what happened. They're waiting on this king to come and save them.
Right.
And when he hangs on that cross,
Right.
could you just imagine that? You talk about low morale, defeat, however they looked at that. It wasn't until he came back that they got it.
Right.
Well, how powerful was that?
Right.
Awesome.
And just a complete image of what love is. It's a complete picture of sacrifice. I mean, he freely laid down his life. He's Jesus. Could have done whatever he wanted, right? So it was a choice and a sacrifice. And those are the two it's why God didn't make us robots in the first place, right? Because if it wasn't our choice to love him, then it wouldn't be genuine love. There's no other condition where there's no other condition where faith, love, or hope is legitimate outside of the free will of having a choice to go one direction or the other.
I think my walk, I have failed and failed and failed and failed because I can't. Everything reminds me of something.
Yeah.
And Christianity, the walk, my faith walk reminds me. And you guys hear me say it there. Oh, don't put yourself. I'm not putting myself down.
Right.
I know me.
Yeah.
And I can say what I want to say about me. I'm slow. It takes me a long time to learn things. Mathematics is a perfect illustration. In the 6th grade, we were learning fractions. I didn't learn it. I couldn't. Least common denominator. Didn't make no sense to me, man.
Right.
And you go through this process. By the time I get to the 9th grade, man, I'm in a general mathematics class while most people were going algebra. But I wasn't the only one. We had a class full of us. And to get to that least common denominator, and I got it, man, I got it. And now here I find myself in this walk. And I read this, man, and I get all caught up in the story of the moon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about grace. It's all about mercy. It's all about this war. It's all about standing up. It's fear not. All these things. But then it's like, at the end of the day, man, you need to sit down and figure out the least common denominator. And I'm telling you right now, if we're talking about Jesus, who is God, it comes down to love, man.
Right.
Everything comes down to love with God.
Yep.
And how can that be? What's hanging on the cross got to do with love? Then I want to sing Tina, baby. You know, what's love got to do? It's got everything to do with it.
It does.
It's because he loved us.
Yes.
Why else would he die on that cross for me? I mean, the dude, he knows me. The dude, I shouldn't call God dude. he knows me, man, and he's like, man, in 1956, this guy's going to be born.
That's right.
And he's going to be a wreck. He's not even going to pay attention to me until he's 43 years old. And look at the sin he's going to commit until he's 43. Then he's going to meet me, and he's going to know I'm real. His whole life is going to change, and he's still going to be a mess. He's still going to fall, man. I'm going to have to help him back up, and I'm going to have to pick him up. That's a mother, man. That's a mother love. That's a father love. That's love.
Yes.
We don't look at it that way, though. It's like, hey, I need help. I need help.
That is a mother and father love and a husband love. It's every facet of love wrapped up into one.
Yeah.
It just is.
So, you know, as we struggle,
Yeah.
I pray for one thing one day, and the next day, man, I'm over that. I'm praying about this. It's like, you know what? I just need to pray that I can see with Jesus' eyes. I need to be able to pray that I can be more like Jesus. A whole lot less like me.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, man. That's hard. Because when I pray, I catch myself off. It is about me, man. What's going on in my world today, man? What do I need from you today, God?
But he wants us to approach him with that stuff too. Now, it's also your best friend, right? So you can throw all that stuff out there because ultimately anything pure, anything lovely, anything praiseworthy is of him, by him, and for him anyways, right? So I love in the Old Testament how often they would their prayers would just begin, your servant is listening. Right? What a great starting point for, instead of me just bringing you here's my list of wants and needs. And I think this message of timing is important because Jesus' brothers had to have known him pretty well, right? They grew up together. They had to know him pretty well at that point in their life, and they still had this concept of timing that made sense to them. And sometimes that's exactly what we need with our prayer life is, right? Do you believe that Jesus will answer prayer? 100% I do. Does it need to be in my timing? No, it needs to be in his to be impactful.
And we've already touched on that. His timing is perfect. But it's funny because, see, you said something that opened up another crazy idea, man. WWJD, man. What would Jesus do? That's what we need. Every step, every thought, every prayer. What would Jesus do?
Right.
But I'm not there, man.
Right.
What would James do? Jesus' brother.
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
Well, so it's like, come on, George, stay with Jesus, stay with Jesus, stay with Jesus. What would Jesus do? And how easy it is to forget that. And we act out of our own, whatever, pride, I guess.
Right.
Probably the biggest thing. And when you talk to people, oh, not me, I'm not a proud person. Yeah. I'm telling you, you are. Can I prove it? Probably not most times, but we are proud people.
Yep.
If something embarrasses you, that comes from pride, man. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. Why are you so embarrassed?
Right.
Pick yourself up. Let's go. You made it. Sometimes we do make mistakes. But a lot of times we just flat out sin.
Right.
And we call it a mistake.
Right.
It's sin. But there's that love again, man. God, he's standing right there. It's okay, son. Come on. Let me dust you off and let's go. Let's hit it again. And what a way to live by, right?
Absolutely.
We talk about this society we live in today. That everything's handed to this. I don't want to trash no generation. I love our youth, but it's like, man, just handed on a silver platter. We don't know what defeat is. We don't know what it's like. We don't know how to handle losing. Because we've just, well, let's treat everybody the same. Well, everybody's not the same.
Everyone's
In
winner.
Christ we are.
You all get a trophy when you get.
That's what I'm trying to say right there. We need to teach our people that we need to work as if everything depends upon us. I get that. But we need to pray as if everything depends upon him.
That's right.
Because it does. So we cannot do everything in our own strength. So we need to have him. And that balance really gets difficult sometimes because, in all honesty, it's like, oh yeah, no problem, Seth, I can fix that for you. Yeah. No, you don't want me fixing your problems, trust me. We need him. We need
That's
him.
right.
Yeah, so work as if it all depends upon you, and pray as if it all depends upon him. And if we do that, he's got a pretty cool plan for us.
Agreed. Want to close this in prayer?
Sure. Father, we come to you today and just thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for opportunities. Thank you for fellowship. Thank you for your word, your truth that guides us. Help us to remember, Lord, that you only have what's laid out for us, what's best for us. And forgive us on those days, on those times when we feel like we know better. Help us, Lord, to represent you well. If we're going to call ourselves Christians, help us to live like Christians. Not just a name it and claim it, but it's a lifestyle change. So I thank you. Thank you for opportunities. Thank you for your patience with me. I know I should have it figured out by now, but I'm so short. So again, thank you. Just thank you for showing us what love is. And with that, I just thank you and close this out in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
You got a lot of editing to do today, but
I got no editing to do today.